Hello, Liberty View Eagles. This is Mrs. Thomas, and today for Read Across America Week, we have three great read alouds for you. These all are connected to diversity and also dreaming, and like the first one says, daring to become who you want to be. So Read Across America Week has been going on for over 20 years. It goes on throughout the whole United States, and it's celebrated in different ways. This year at Liberty View, we are choosing to celebrate it with reading diverse books and just exposing ourselves to maybe things outside of our normal reading. And today I got this book from the public library. It is Dare to Dream Big. The words are by Lorna Gutierrez and the pictures are by Polly Noakes. Dare to Dream Big. Dare to dream. Dare to fly higher. Dare to trust. Dare to inspire. Dare to do what hasn't been done. Dare to be second to none. Dare to see when others don't. Dare to speak when others won't. Dare to reach out and take a chance. Dare to sing, dare to dance. Dare to have a hand to lend. Dare to be your own best friend. Dare to enjoy a silent night. Dare to be a shining light. Save our oceans now. Say no to plastics. Dare to be who you truly are. A light in the dark. Be you, a star. So this book isn't just telling us to dare to dream big, like, you can become whatever you want to be, but also just in our daily lives, dare to take some risk, help a friend out maybe you wouldn't normally help out. Be yourself, be who you want to be. We're all different, and that's what makes the world so great. All right, the next one is an award-winning book also, and this is Jump at the Sun, the true life tale of the unstoppable story catcher, Zora Neale Hurston. And this is a biography. And our first book was an everybody book. Jump at the Sun, the true life tale of unstoppable story catcher, Zora Neale Hurston. This is by Alicia D. Williams and illustrated by Jacqueline Alcantara. And like I said, this is a biography. So this is a true story. Let's see if I can get this focused for you guys a little better. In a town called Eatonville, a place where magnolias smelled even prettier than they looked, oranges were as sweet as they were plump, and the people just plain old got along, lived a girl who was attracted to tails like mosquitoes to skin. Zora was her name. Zora got to loving tales from hearing the town folks swap stories at Joe Clark's general store. Oftentimes, Mama sent her over to fetch a little sugar or salt, and Zora would stall. Make a 10-minute errand last an hour, just to overhear the tales, like how that trickster Briar Rabbit always got the best of Briar Fox. The only thing pulled her away was Mama calling, "Zora, if you don't come here, you better." And these are some of the tales they were telling. Let me tell y'all how we got squinch owls. Yeah, huh? Old master had old maid sister that had never been married. That's the reason the dog is mad with the rabbit now, because he fooled the dog. Y'all been telling and lying about these varmints. You ain't yet spoke of the chief boss of all the world, which is the lion. So those are the stories that the men are telling. If I can get this so you can see the whole page. When there are no errands to run, Zora couldn't get an earful of tales. She'd make up her own. She'd fashion dolls from scraps she found. A loose doorknob became Reverend Doorknob. The do not touch pear scented soap was carved into Miss Sweet Smell. Ears of corn were hewed into Miss Cornshuck and Miss Corncob. Zora had stories to tell, and stories needed the characters. And so here's some of those characters she created. And when Mama sent Zora and her stories out of the house, Zora would perch herself atop their gatepost, calling out to travelers, "Don't you want me to get a piece of the way with you?" If a car stopped, Zora would climb right in. She'd have those people laughing like she was storytelling on Joe Clark's porch herself. Then, a half mile or so later, she'd hop out and stroll on home. Now, back then, some folks called storytelling telling lies. And if Zora's preaching papa got home from church and caught her spouting them, he'd give chase lightning quick. Even Zora's grandma aimed to sting her backside, but never could, not with Mama's arms stretched wide as tree limbs. Truth was, Mama approved of Zora's storytelling. She didn't fancy the idea of her children tilling land, so she encouraged Zora to jump out the sun. You might not land on the sun, but at least you got off the ground. Well, fact is, Zora clung to those words tighter than Briar Fox would have clung to Briar Rabbit if he'd ever been able to catch him. Zora needed him too, because one day Mama got herself a chest cold that wouldn't get better. Then one September evening, Mama closed her eyes for the last time. Zora and her sister and brothers were sobbing hearted that even the house seemed to mourn. 2 days later, Zora's only sister and older brother headed back to school. Papa was already on the road preaching. His boy seemed manageable, but his tall telling girl was too much for him to worry about. So 2 weeks after her mama's funeral, he shipped Zora off to Florida Baptist Academy boarding school. Zora dug her nose in books, intent on reaching the sun. It was what Mama had always taught her to do. After all, then her papa got a new wife and who was stingier than a peacock. Zora's stepmother tight-fisted their money, school fees went unpaid, and back to Eatonville Zora went. To hear Zora tell it, back home, the walls were gummy with gloom, and her little brothers in ragged, dirty clothes. This was wrong, and Zora made it known. Fussing and fighting commenced from the kitchen to the gatepost. Finally, her stepmother pointed to the door and out stomped 14-year-old Zora down the dusty road. So imagine being 14 and leaving your home. Though friends spared a pallet for sleeping, there wasn't time for Zora to be pondering the capers of Briar Rabbit. She had to earn her keep, but she was better at storytelling than holding a job. She was fired from maid jobs for reading the employer's books instead of cleaning. She up and quit babysitting her oldest brother's children when he quit on his promise to let her go back to school. For 12 long years, she traveled from job to job, from Florida to Baltimore, and in and out of schools. Zora was miserable, except for when she spooned out Eatonville trickster tales to whoever'd soap them up. And sakes alive, folks were hungry. The sun, however, was getting antsy, waiting on Zora, so he called down saying, "Aren't you supposed to be meeting me up here?" Reckon Zora was getting antsy too. How was Zora to jump all the way to Big Yellow by doing what made her happiest? And Zora was happiest at school and hearing all those stories. In Baltimore, 26-year-olds couldn't go to public school for free, so Zora told a tale of her own. She chopped her age to 16 years old, then plunked herself down in a high school classroom. Even though she had a lot less money than the other students, Zora walked through the halls like her shoes were lined with gold. That girl was back in school. Woo-wee! The sun waited patiently 2 more years until she graduated. Then the sun called out, "Jump, Zora." So she did. To Howard University. The best part, all those years of tearing around Joe Clark's and making up tales out of corn husks paid off. She shared her tales with the director of the Stylist, the college's literary club, and was offered a membership. Zora not only wrote for their magazine, but the door opened to other events where she met successful writers like W.E.B. Du Bois, who wrote the book she loved, The Souls of Black Folk. Soon she got to thinking, I want to be a famous author too. And Howard University is a very popular and famous university, especially when we're talking about Black History Month in February. And W.E.B. Du Bois is a very successful and prominent author as well. So Zora jumped again. She got herself a typewriter and her fingers got to tapping, and all her Eatonville memories poured into them pages. One of her stories was even about a little girl sitting atop a gatepost. You see all those memories and all those characters coming back to life. Though Zora loved her schooling, she found she loved writing more. And at that time, new writers who wanted to get published went to one place. So in January 1925, Zora made her way to New York City. As in Eatonville, folks welcomed her. During the day, she listened to book discussions at the library or lectures at the YMCA. Come nighttime, Zora'd be swinging in Harlem, where Count Basie or Fats Waller pounded on the piano and folks danced the Charleston dance. Look at that dance. Once her feet were too sore for one more kick, Zora would hold court, surrounded by writers like Arna Boutentips, Fannie Hurst, and her best pal, Langston Hughes. Langston's poetry jumped at the sun for sure. If Zora's stories held the ears of those great writers, surely her mama was right that Zora could really reach the sun too. And I know we've talked a lot about Langston Hughes with Black History Month also. So here's some of the stories that then she was telling these famous writers. You know, God did not make folks all at once. He made folks sort of in his spare time. For instance, one day he called everybody and gave out feet and eyes. Another time, he gave them out toenails. You know, all the animals was having a ball down in the pine woods. The dog said he'd be trumpet and the band and the horse and the frog and the mockingbird all be there to help, but they didn't have no bass drum. Once, way back yonder before the stars fell, all the animals used to talk, just like people. That spring, Zora jumped again. She mailed a handful of stories to a magazine's literary contest. Her words were so alive, the judges saw the moss on the trees, smelled and saw the grass in the Everglades, and heard the men chanting on the railroad. Then those judges began chanting Zora's name. Honorable mention short story Black Death by Zora Neale Hurston. Honorable mention play Spears by Zora Neale Hurston. Second place fiction award Spunk by Zora Neale Hurston. Second place drama award Colorstruck by Zora Neale Hurston. A fancy college heard about Zora's storytelling and offered her admission, but if there was one thing Zora had learned, it was that school was expensive and she didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. Zora was doubtful. Jump, Zora, Mama's words sang. And wouldn't you know it, her jumping paid off. Barnard College offered her a scholarship. It wasn't much, but her friends helped her out. And Zora put together a collection of tales from home and called it the Eatonville Anthology and earned a bit from that. For the first time in all her schooling, Zora was able to stay in school. For her very last semester, Zora had a big project left to do. Field work for her anthropology class. Anthropology is the study of humans and their behavior. Her professor, Dr. Boas, suggested that Zora collect Negro folklore. Now, folklore includes stories and beliefs passed down from generation to generation, exactly like the ones told to old Joe Clark's. Shucks, Dr. Boas might as well have asked Zora to go down to Joe Clark's for some sugar. And then some of those stories, and that Briar Fox threw Briar Rabbit right into the thicket. There once was a fella named John Henry. He wasn't no ordinary man, you see, just because he drank up his water. She had heard Briar Rabbit's adventures and why the squinch owl screeched since she was a baby. How many lumps of sugar had she fetched to hear about High John de Conquer? Or how many times had her mama called Zora? Course she'd go collect some stories. What's a squinch owl? Now that's a loud screeching owl that was once a. Zora looked up at the sky. I'm coming for you, son. And the sun smiled down. I know. Zora drove into Eatonville. And even after she'd been gone for 22 years, the townsfolk still recognized her. Well, if it ain't Zora Hurston. They'd rattled off questions before she could even answer them. You gonna stay a while? Several months. Where you gonna stay? I reckon. What you up to? I'll come to. Zora at last sat on Joe Clark's store porch. The townfolk ate gingerbread, drank buttermilk, and commenced into woofing about John and the Frog, the man who went to heaven, and Jack and the devil. As the menfolk plucked their guitar strings, it said that even the moon dipped lower to get an earful of tales. But outside Eatonville, folks zipped their lips to the meddling stranger with the notebook and northern accent. To ease their minds, Zora spun a believable tale about her own self. I'm a bootlegger running from the law. The folks then trusted she wasn't just snooping and offered her a treasure of folklore. Went down the river, heard a mighty racket, but nothing but the bullfrog pulling off his jacket. It was a man, and he was so big and fat till he went to whip his little boy for something. The little boy ran up under his papa belly and hid under there for 6 months. I'm telling this lie on the gator. Well, the gator was pretty white, varmint, wild, cold black eyes. So one day he was lying up in the grass in the marsh sunning himself and sleeping when Briar Rabbit came busting across the marsh and run right over to Briar Gator. Zora's college project became one of her biggest jumps. Even after she graduated, she didn't stop collecting tales. She trekked all the way from Alabama to New Orleans to Haiti and the Bahamas, gathering as much folklore as a leopard has spots. And then she stopped jumping long enough to take her notebooks, tapes, and to find herself a home in Eau Gallie, Florida. There, on her porch with paper spread out, Zora took her biggest jump ever. She set up her typewriter, and her fingers got to tapping all those tales into books. Then she tapped up her very own stories and made her own books too. Zora, like her mama always dreamed, reached the sun. And now, when you open those books, it's as if you're visiting on Zora's porch, just like she porch visited all those years ago. She'd offered you a chair and filled you full of High John de Conqueror tales, or told you the talking mule lies she got from the Florida railroad workers, because she'd wolf about that old Briar Rabbit and Briar Fox too. And that sun would have beamed down mightily pleased, just a-listening. There's author's note. There's Zora. All right, the last book today for Read Across America Week and some diversity is this Everybody book. This is The Proudest Blue, the story of hijab and family. And this is written by Olympic medalist Ibtihaj Muhammad with S.K. Ali and art by Haytham Ali. And it says over here, the first day of wearing a hijab is important. It means being strong. I hope. There we go. Better. Mama holds out the pink. Mama loves pink, but Ashaya shakes her head. I know why. Behind the counter is the brightest blue, the color of the ocean. If you squint your eyes and pretend there's no line between the water and the sky. It's the first day hijab. Aisha knows it. I know it. We're sisters. The next day I wait. A new backpack, new light up shoes. I feel special. I feel like twirling. Aisha comes out of the house and I stop. It's the most beautiful first day of school ever. I'm walking with a princess, so I pretend I'm one too. But even princesses have to stop to cross the street. Aisha takes my hand in hers and says, "Come on, Faiza." We speed walk it. 14 steps, 14 light ups to get across. Aisha takes me to my line first and hugs me goodbye. I turn to watch her leave, give a little curtsy to the princess going to the sixth grade area. She's easy to see. Her hijab smiles at me the whole way. My first day hijab is going to be blue too. "What's that on your sister's head?" the girl in front of me whispers. "A scarf," I whisper back. I don't know why a whisper came out. I try again, louder now. "A scarf, hijab." "Oh," she whispers. Aisha's hijab isn't a whisper. Aisha's hijab is like a sky on a sunny day. The sky isn't a whisper, it's always there, special and regular. The first day of wearing hijab is important, Mama had said. It means being strong. But I turn and I can't see the blue anymore. I run to the big kid side, 27 steps to see Aisha. I need to give her another hug. I need to see her smile. "Faiza," eyes wonder when I'm here. "What, are you excited?" I asked, "about the first day of hijab?" She nods, smiling big. I feel better too. Someone laughs from nearby, a boy pointing at Aisha. Why? So look at the picture clues. Think about how these boys are looking and their faces, and look at these faces. Make a prediction. Why do you think they're laughing? Aisha's hijab isn't a laugh. Aisha's hijab is like the ocean waving to the sky. It's always there, strong and friendly. Some people won't understand your hijab, Mom had said, but if you understand who you are, one day they will too. In class, I draw a picture. Two princesses in hijab having a picnic on an island where the ocean meets the sky. The girl who whispered in line says she likes it. So she says it so loud the teacher comes over to see it. I wonder if Aisha drew a picture too. Recess time is for 5 cartwheels in a row. I land the last one near the sixth graders, near Aisha and her friends. Near a boy yelling, "I'm gonna pull that tablecloth off your head." Aisha's hijab isn't a tablecloth. Aisha's hijab is blue, only blue. Aisha turns away. Her friends turn away. They race to the middle of the schoolyard, their shoes pounding the pavement, playing tag. Mama had said, "Don't carry around the hurtful words that others say. Drop them. They are not yours to keep. They belong to only those who said them." It takes me 48 steps to get away from the yelling boy. What a powerful picture. After school, I look around. I look for whispers, laughs, and shouts. But I only see Aisha waiting for me like it's a regular day. She's smiling, strong. We cross the road hand in hand. I can't wait till I get home to show Mama the picture I drew, to show Aisha that I'm wearing the same hijab in it. Because Aisha's hijab is like the ocean and the sky, no line between them, saying hello with a loud wave, saying I'll always be there like sisters, like me and Aisha. And this is the author. And then these are her sisters. And then this is her author's note that tells about it and tells about when she had to start wearing her hijab and how it's part of her faith, her love of Allah, the tradition she shares with her mother and her sisters. My hijab is beautiful. To the young girls out there reading the story who are hijabis, so is yours. And then this is the illustrator's note. And then you see them going to get on the bus. And that is The Proudest Blue. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed our 3 books for Read Across America Week and diversity. And I hope that you guys have a great day.